Hello, I'm Steven Sievert with Isometric Consulting. I'm back with the next video in our series on project management. Today we're going to be looking at the roles and responsibilities of a project manager so you can better understand the skills that will need to be developed to truly be an effective project manager. The foremost responsibility that you'll have as a project manager is as a constant motivator for your team. Indeed, you won't be able to complete your project successfully if you don't have motivated team members to complete the necessary tasks that have been identified throughout the work breakdown structure. A lot of times, project managers come into the role of a PM through other technical trades, such as possibly coming from an engineering discipline. When that happens, the PM usually has the right technical acumen to understand what needs to happen for a project to be completed, or maybe they can complete the task themselves. But it's oftentimes difficult for them to understand that the project manager's role is not a technical role, it's a management role. The expectation is that the PM will be planning and facilitating the activities of their team members and ensuring that they're properly motivated to take ownership of their tasks and get the work done. So it may sometimes seem easier just to roll up your sleeves and do the work yourself, but your team will not grow by doing so, and your organization will not reap the benefits of having a highly skilled and highly motivated cross-functional team to tackle complex projects. When I was acting as a quality engineering coordinator, for instance, or in the various times I was a project team leader or an audit team leader, I can speak to this aspect from experience and say that I have often struggled with holding this distinction between being a project team member and a project manager. But the effective project manager must understand that their responsibility lies not with the technical elements and the tasks of the project, but with the people. Furthering that point made in the previous slide, it's the PM's responsibility as the facilitator to not only keep the team motivated, but also to keep them on track to ensure that all the tasks are completed in a timely manner. This goes a bit further than just keeping the team members motivated and appealing to their intrinsic interest in the task or the project, but requires the PM to maintain a high-level view of the project and understand everything that is going on, all of the moving parts that are being conducted or developed simultaneously to meet the project deliverables. This is one of the primary reasons that the project manager should not also be a member that's completing the tasks at a tactical level. The PM is a strategic role. It needs to have a high-level understanding of the organization so that the project manager can identify and remove roadblocks before they become constraints that will keep the team members from being able to accomplish their tasks, which will, of course, in turn keep you from being able to successfully complete your project. The project manager is not only a motivator and facilitator, but they're also a politician. For a lot of folks coming up from technical roles, they might not be too interested in hearing this, that the project manager is a highly political role, but it certainly is. The project manager will be a representative to executives in the organization for the project and for the project team, which means the PM needs to play the part of a politician well, needs to be able to speak the language of executives to get their buy-in when proposing projects, getting approvals for charters, discussing budgets, releasing funds, etc. The PM needs to be able to articulate what the project is about and what and how the project team is going to execute to meet the project strategic goals of the organization to get the buy-in from the key stakeholders. It's also important to note this skill for when things go wrong. The PM will also be the person to give the bad news to the executives, so it's really important for them to have the skill set necessary to communicate the problems, why they occurred, and what's going to be done to get the issues resolved. These are sometimes difficult tasks, but that is the role of the project manager. Executives and stakeholders, they become key components in the project. They approve the charter, they release funds, they support the team with resources. So as a key component of the project, they become something else that needs to be managed by the project manager. That makes sense when you think about it. It's implied in the title. So aside from learning how to communicate with executives to be able to get their buy-in, to get projects and budgets approved, or to communicate problems and give them the confidence that they'll be resolved without having major impacts to the project, the skill is also necessary to manage the expectations of those stakeholders. Ultimately, the PM has deliverables to provide to executives because the PM's role is strategic in nature, and the projects that are approved by those executives will be aligned with their strategic vision for the organization. So it's vital that the project manager is able to understand the strategic needs from the executives for a project and the capabilities and capacity of the project team members and resources available so that the project plan conveys what can actually be accomplished. So, you want to ensure that you provide the executives what they want to meet their strategic goals, but you don't want to set false expectations by overselling what you're actually able to do with the resources that you have, only to then not be able to overcome constraints and fail to deliver the project deliverables. While a lot of folks don't so much like this aspect of project management and aren't particularly interested in playing politics, this is a part that comes pretty naturally for me. I'm often hand-selected in roles where I'm going to be customer or client-facing or sitting in a boardroom with executives because I do have a natural inclination for understanding stakeholder needs, reiterating them so that they know that they've been understood, and articulating how those needs are going to be met. I'm frequently called on to resolve customer relations issues for this reason, but it is a skill set that I don't think comes very naturally for a lot of people, so it's something that I wanted to point out. It needs to be considered for people who are learning or trying to become a more effective project manager. This next, managing risks, I cannot overemphasize the importance of this as a responsibility of a project manager. Risk is the potential for something to go wrong while performing a project task that could potentially impact or constrain a portion of the project, such as causing you to go over the budget, delaying your schedule, or causing you to compromise the quality of work delivered. I want to restate that risks, when realized, will likely impact the iron triangle. That's the well-balanced scope, schedule, and budget necessary to deliver a quality project that meets the quality or the project objectives. If a PM does not do their due diligence to identify risks when planning a project, they will not be able to take mitigating actions or to regularly communicate to and prepare the team for issues that may arise so that they can be quickly dealt with before becoming a real problem that impede the team or cause the project to fail. Most new project managers do not understand this importance. Even if the risk register is on a checklist as a deliverable for a new project charter, it's often glossed over. It doesn't truly dig into the potential risks that occur. Effective risk management is a real skill. It needs to be developed to be a truly effective project manager. For me, though, this is, again, one of the easier bits. I've developed a strong understanding of risk management through working with FMEAs in the automotive industry to predict and mitigate risks to product quality and manufacturing processes, as well as working with ISO 14971 to implement risk management techniques for medical device clients. But I've noticed while working with automakers and medical device manufacturers that these skills do not come naturally to most and are difficult tools for them to employ. So again, I want to call these out in the video as something that many budding project managers should take into consideration as a skill that will need to be developed. Lastly, one of the most critical responsibilities for the project manager is to manage the project budget. Of course, it is the PM's duty to manage all aspects of the project, as implied in the title, so it should come as no surprise that the items in the iron triangle fall under the PM's direct responsibility. Key stakeholders want a project to be completed that meets its strategic goals. Of course, they have agreed to a scope of work. They obviously want the quality of work produced to be at an acceptable level, but they also want the project to be completed on time and within budget. Admittedly, one of my weaker points, and one that I know that I need to continually practice and develop, but the project manager needs to understand how to take all of the tasks in the work breakdown structure necessary to complete the project and accurately estimate their costs in order to develop a project budget. This budget is going to be communicated to key stakeholders and executives by the project manager for approval. If the budget is exceeded, it is going to be the project manager that has to do the explaining of that situation to the executives, asking for additional funds or trying to get that back on track. So a project that goes over the budget, it may be considered as a failure. It can limit the project's ability to meet strategic goals, especially if those goals were related to costs, reducing cost, improving profitability, etc. So obviously the budget can be a very key component in determining a project's success. So it's imperative then that the project manager not only know how to project and estimate the project costs, but they also need to track and manage those costs through the life of the project to ensure that that the tasks stay within the budget. So you need to stay on track, right, from what was projected and approved in the beginning. There are a lot of tools that the project manager can use or employ to do that. Such as calculating schedule and cost variance, or estimating cost at completion or to completion, to understand how the project is performing when compared to the planned value or budget that was established in the beginning. By utilizing these tools to understand the current budget situation, the project manager then might be able to come in, take any necessary mitigating actions when you're not on track, when the plan is not being met for the current budget, so that they can get that back on track, so that they can ultimately pull that back in so that the project meets the budget goals. So that's it for this video. We've covered the critical roles and responsibilities of the effective project manager, why they're important, and also a lot of the difficulties that budding project managers might have, or skills that might need to be developed to really help them to become effective project managers. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, don't forget, you can like and subscribe. You can get new content from this channel. Again, Steven Sievert with Isometric Consulting. I thank you for your time. Thank you for watching.